My name is Amber. We'll have a quick look at this in my presentation as well, but I am the Neighborhoods and Economic Development Director for Meridian Township. And I started September 28th, 2020. And before that, I was assistant to the city of, for the city manager in the city of Jackson. And that was an interesting whirlwind of doing that and launching into COVID. And before that, I was working for Consumers Energy in this region, pretty much below 69 for gas and electric customers for Consumers Energy as communications outreach coordinator. So I am very much a people person. I like to talk to people. I like to take things that are really complicated and break it down into layman's terms so we can all be kind of on the same page, because that's the only way that you get people to be able to support your idea or to even just be able to communicate. I am a communications major. So anybody else feel like breaking it, telling us who you are, why you're here, what you're ready to learn?
Oh, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I stepped on your hand there.
Ouch, that hurt. My name is Justine Bell, and I actually work in Meridian Township, and I live in Hazlett. And this is my friend Sam, and she also lives in Hazlett and is starting a business in Meridian Township. So yes.
May we ask what the business is?
Yes, so it is a marketing consulting firm to, for small businesses to help bring in more customers and get some foot traffic.
Welcome, Sam.
That's a needed service. A lot of businesses make the mistake of not getting some outside consulting for stuff like that, in my humble opinion.
Mr. Brown, you wanna? Oh, well, actually, I think I see it's between the two of you. Either one of you go, but
Marcia, beauty before age, I say.
Well, I'm Marcia Madel. I actually live in Okemos. I served on the Meridian Township Board of EDC Board from about 2007 until 2016. I served on the chair for six of those years. And so I have a consulting firm. I do business and economic development consulting. So I'm very interested in catching up with Amber. Hi, Amber. I look forward to meeting and talking with you soon on things that are going on in the township. I've felt since COVID, I've been out of the loop. So I'm very interested in the Hazlett area. That was one of our primary focus areas, even when I was the EDC chair up until 2016. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amber, for the invitation, and I look forward to the conversation.
absolutely. Thank you. I see your name on lots of stuff, Marcia, so I appreciate you being here. Let me know when I'm crossing the line. Keep me in line, lady. Keep me in line.
I'll go next and then be quiet after that. I think my name is David Sparty Brown. I worked at MSU for 31 years, and I'm a lifelong resident of Hazlett. My family dragged me up here when I was 3 years old in 1958 from Columbus, Ohio, when my mother got a job as a professor at MSU. So it's been a lifelong green and white relationship. So recently retired, but I fancy myself a bit of a local Hazlett historian. My hobby is collecting artifacts, photos, and stories about the history of Hazlett. Myself, along with friend Denny Emmer, who owns Cheesy D's over at Lake Lansing and Marsh Road. He and I are both collectors of Hazlett history. So we made a lot of friends on the Hazlett community Facebook page and the I Grew Up in Hazlett Facebook page. So if you want to know any trivia about Hazlett, I could probably answer it.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for your introductions. Anyone else, let me know. And again, I'm pretty informal. You just knocked me right on down. Let me get this show on the road here and started. And I need to share my screen before I do that. So 1 second.
The toughest part of any Zoom presentation.
I know, making sure I want to make sure I'm showing you the right screen because I have got 3 screens in front of me going on over here. It works. I'm a really good air traffic controller, I think, in a new life, next life. So here I am. Hi. Like I said, my family has been residents of Hazlett in Meridian Township since 2015. We have a son. He's actually here in the office and he's hiding underneath the desk over there. I don't know if you want to see him, but Roman, will you come over here for a second? Just, they don't believe I have a child, so they just want to make sure I'm not lying and being mean. This is my son. He's a Hazlett public school student.
Cool. What grade?
5th. Going
5th?
6th.
And which school do you go to?
Ralia.
Yes. The best school.
Yes, it is.
So
You-
Diesel.
I went to Ralia when it was half its current size,
That's
Wow.
crazy.
and we had to do recess outdoors.
We still do.
Oh, crazy.
Unless it rains.
Oh, crazy. So we moved here thank you, son. We moved here in 2015 for him to start school. It was part of the reason why my husband and I wanted to come to the communities because we talked to, a few people we were actually living in Lansing at the time. He was going to preschool in East Lansing. So we kind of were getting just a feel of the region, and this area spoke to us. It was sold to us as potentially by, a lot of the people that we talked to, all the family members that we spoke to, and they were correct. This is a great place to live. I'm pretty much a goofball myself. Like I said, I'm a Spartan. Here we're crowning the owner of High Caliber, established business winner of the year. If you get a chance, you'll be seeing some of that expansion, and we can talk about that in our Okemos meeting that we can have that's very similar to this. But I like people. I like to be involved. I get bored easy, so I like to really cram things on my calendar and have a lot of responsibilities. And I was serving on the Planning Commission while I was working for the city of Jackson. I felt that it was important for me to understand planning and zoning. At working in the city manager's office, you get that full holistic view of operating a unit of government. I just didn't get the in-depth portion of the development, and I wanted to understand that. They had a full staff for their planning commission in the city of Jackson, and we needed a planning commissioner. Something else I will mention about boards and commissions here in Meridian Township, they're fantastic. But many of our boards and commissions are pretty heavy on the Okemos side. So we have a lot of volunteers that live in the Okemos community that are on the boards and commissions. I just would throw that at my Hazlett residents about volunteering for your boards and commissions so that you can be a voice for Hazlett. So that was one reason why the supervisor was interested in appointing me to the planning commission, was that I was able to represent part of our community that wasn't really a part of the volunteer portion on that board. Served for a year. Lots of acronyms, right? Lots of big words, lots of numbers, lots of just things as far as planning. And I didn't need to fully understand planning and zoning. I just had to understand how it impacts development and how it impacts growth. So that led township manager after a year of me serving that, and he being able to get a grasp of what I did for the city of Jackson. When this opportunity opened up, I accepted. I, of course, wanted to be close to my child. He's had 3 teachers this year. I've literally retrofitted his room with a better computer outfit than my own. That's why I'm doing this here in my office at work, so it looks like I live somewhere fancy. I needed to be close to him, and I couldn't imagine a better opportunity to be a part of making decisions for my community. Why would I, how could I pass that up? So I'm happy to accept it. So economic development, what is it? What is economic development? Say this word. Why neighborhoods? Why did I give myself an even longer title? That sounds like I'm just, making stuff up over here. The neighborhoods portion is my personality. It's what I want. I don't want people to think of our approach as we just need to put a building here, or we just need to accomplish this mathematical thing. We just need to have this work. So we're just going to do this. I think sometimes our relationship with government is just, it's happening to you. And I don't want our community to feel like that. I want them to have a better connection and more in-depth look at development, and to understand that our community of culture creates and inspires development, and inspires the markets that come to us that say, hey, we've got this project that we think will be really good for you. Where could we put it, or help us find this this little niche market that could work here or there for our neighborhoods. Economic development is our strategy to do that, to attract and retain those businesses, as that is the easiest way to grow and the more sustainable way to grow, than to always just be on the verge of attraction. And there's a lot of steps in attraction. We're going to talk about that. Tonight, we are focusing Hazlett. I feel like my Facebook friends are like, why is that happening in Okemos? Why don't we get this? Hazlett just is left out. And I want you to know, I can't disagree that it seems that way. I can't say that as a Hazlett resident before working for government or working even for the township, of understanding what the township was doing, focused specifically on Hazlett. And that's why I'm having this meeting. We don't even have, we have like what, 8 participants? Well, Justine's got a whole house full of great people up there. So, but you know, how do we make sure that we get the word out about all the things that we're doing before the buildings show up and people go, you put this here or whatever? How do we make sure that they feel informed and heard? I cannot promise that every person in Hazlett is going to agree with every project that we do. You will not. I am sure that a lot of our residents that focus on environmentally friendly sustainability practices will not be pleased, as any development is an impact to the environment. But there's a balance. My job is to balance. My job is to keep us strong. What we don't want to do is start seeing that we're losing population, or that we've become a kind of a community that's so exclusive, no one wants to be here. So we're going to talk about Horrocks. Yep, I said it, came out of my mouth. We're going to talk about Horrocks. We're going to talk about the Hazlett Village Square redevelopment. We're going to talk about the Hazlett Marathon renovation and residential developments. And at any time, at the bottom of the screen is my email and phone number, should you wish to reach me. So I'm sure Mr. Brown can give a full, long history of the development, but I'm going to take this one. And this is what I can see from talking to internal staff, checking our records, and doing a little bit of detective work. 1979, 1980, this block was finished as the Hazlett Village Square. This portion of the block was in, I believe. This portion did not go in until 1985. By the mid-90s, a conglomerate group of partners, owned this entire lot. And in 97, the L&L anchor store went in. I believe it had a few lifetimes of anchors before. And the L&L store was open and run by a local family, and they owned more than one location. I believe like 5 or 6 within the Lansing region. 2 were in Meridian Township, one where Tom's Food is right now. 2009 housing market crash and recession, start to see some separation and detraction from the site. But in 2011, L&L shut its doors. We see our records show about 2011. So that's where we are kind of up into this point. We've had some tendency, we've had some things bounce back and forth. We've had some conversations and ideas. Here we go. Okay. So when I moved to this community, I was told that the township is just so difficult to work with. We're so anti-development friendly, like Meridian Township. Oh my goodness. I was told that we couldn't get a Horrocks because the township board wouldn't approve a windmill. That's what I heard. That's what someone told me. And I was like, that's crazy. I started working for the city of Jackson, and we were trying to redevelop our mall. They have a mall down there that's also in need. And we ended up having this conversation about Horrocks. And so I did some research, found Kim Horrock's phone number, and called Kim while I was working in Jackson. And I was trying to convince him to come to Jackson. I was on the phone with this man for like 5 minutes, and he was like, this is what I need. It needs to be near a highway. I need to be able to own it, and it needs to be big enough for me to expand and efficient travel. If you can give me a site that has that, I'll look at it. I was like, okay. Hung up the phone. I was like, dang it. Because the Sears in Jackson was complicated trying to get him in the location I was looking at in Jackson. But it did kind of bounce around in the back of my mind of, well, if those are the requirements to have a Horrocks, how could it go to Hazlett Village Square? It's not anywhere near a highway. And at the time of the conversation, there was no opportunity for ownership. So how could that be possible? When I got hired here, the first thing I wanted to know was what's the full story? There are no site plans submitted. Horrocks was not trying to come here. We were trying to bring Horrocks here. There's a little bit of a difference. We were trying to bring back a major anchor, and we knew that there was a population who's willing to use that location as a retail grocery and as a market. So we already had that at the time, but these things weren't working for them. And I bring that forward because every single developer and big box office retailer, they kind of have their own metrics too. We all shop, have shopped, or, most of us been to Horrocks before. It's like a staple activity you do when you come to the Lansing region. You also know that they have quality food and that it's not frozen, that they give it to you fresh. So there's an efficiency of getting their vendors' items fresh off of the truck into the store, into our hands. They have a lot of turnover. I mean, you're going to circle that parking lot 2 times before you're going to get in there. So we know what it's like. Think about that spot at Hazlett Village Square. Would that have been efficient for them? Would that have been efficient for us? Would we as a community have been accepting of that? Probably, yes. But would they have met their metrics? Would this be a location that's a little bit watered down, that wouldn't meet what they wanted to as far as excellence in a store? Their Battle Creek location, they originally opened in downtown Battle Creek. They moved to the mall. Why? Because they want expansion. So they still need to meet their requirements as far as just even the culture and the identity of the quality of product and service they provide. So that's something that we need to think about when considering developments. Trader Joe's is along the same line. I did a recent interview on the LSJ about Trader Joe's and this region wanting one so badly. Well, Trader Joe's looks to go in areas where they're densely populated of at least 100,000 people. They like to go in areas where the median income is at least $100,000. They also they look at the community's frugality. Apparently they look at the social metrics of the community. And if it's a community where they are, they look to save money as far as a sense of culture, that's the community they end up going to. That yes, you can get online and petition to bring a Trader Joe's to your community, but if you don't meet their metrics, they're not coming. People ask about a Dave & Buster's for the same reason. Well, guys, we've got high caliber. That is what I'm looking for, is trying to create a experience. We want entertainment. That's what Dave & Buster's provides. Okay. But we have that experience that fits our community right now already. That's within our incomes. That's not trying to attract this big box office. We already have that. Big Lots potentially would have gone into Hazlett Village Square. What? I know. A few years ago, that's something they were considering, is to go there. However, it still didn't meet their metrics. There's not enough people living within that general area for them to go there. That's why they went to Grand River. Whole Foods is an interesting story because the property owner, the property owner's wife, I believe, or the property owners, didn't want to keep driving to Ann Arbor to go to Whole Foods. So they had a property that they said to Whole Foods, please come here. We have a property that could work for you. That was still a 2 to 3 year deal working with the township and Whole Foods, because kind of didn't really have enough people living in that area. And that is also, again, why a lot of commercial is driven on Grand River, because the proximity of the number of neighborhoods that are adjacent give the feasibility of the project that they can meet, their bread and butter, that they can make it. In actuality, developers don't want to build a project we're not going to use. They don't want to bring something to the community that's not going to make us happy. Why would they want to build something that we're just going to consider obsolete later? It's not good for them in any capacity. So Horrocks, the truth is, the township wasn't anti-Horrocks. The township didn't have a space for Horrocks. And there may have been a history of the township not accepting different projects for different reasons. However, those were two different things. And since talking with the community and Hazlett community especially, we know that that's our downtown, that's our priority area, that's where our heart beats, and we need something there. And so the township has taken that very seriously and has worked with the EDC, has worked with the Planning Commission and the Township Board to make changes. So quickly to go over, sometimes I hear, why Okemos? Why does Okemos get, everything? If you look at our future land use map, you see where all the commercial concentration colors are: mixed use, commercial, business. Look at what Grand River gets. And those are all Okemos addresses. And then you had Okemos Road, also Okemos addresses. A larger majority of our major thoroughfare roads into our community are Okemos addresses and have commercial zoning, or high density residential or business. Here's Hazlett, our beautiful Hazlett. Here's our little commercial area, which is our Four Corners. And essentially it's right here because members of our community came to the Planning Commission meetings to work and address the master plan. We do a master plan every 5 years. That is when the public says, this is kind of how I envision how we keep our community going forward. This is where we'd like this. This is where we'd like commercial. This is where we'd like dense residential. This is where we'd like single family residential. And we talk through those things. This is a primary time for people in Hazlett to say what they're looking for. So working with the Township Board and the Planning Commission, Hazlett is a PICA, a potential intensity change area. I'm sure Miss Marsha Madel will remember that, working with the EDC. It means that of the redevelopment fund is a fund the Meridian Economic Development Corporation has authorization to use to help a developer redevelop Hazlett Village Square or downtown Okemos. Both sites can have a request for funding. So we don't have a request for the EDC in this location just yet, but we do have funds available for it. We are intentional about creating a walkable community, a mix of residential types and affordability, and adding green space. And if this screen could go even further down, my house is right down here. So I'm not saying this just like off the top of my head because it sounds pretty. This is what I would like too. I want, my son and I and husband, we bike to the taco truck. I wouldn't mind, if there were more taco trucks. I wouldn't mind if there was a place for me to, come across the street without getting completely smushed by a semi and eat right here from my taco truck. Like, these are things that I feel as well. And I want you to know that as Hazlett community members, we need to make sure that the board hears and Planning Commission members hear what we're looking for. So this new development, if you see, look in the background, this is a schematic of what it's going to be at Hazlett Village Square. I'll go back a couple. So this portion of Hazlett Village Square will be redeveloped in the next 6 months. I know it's happening this year. It's so exciting.
Yay!
Yay! So let's go back to the image. Okay, we've got a mixed use senior residential club and community. Senior communities, we have developments for those. We know that urbanization is on the rise. I know some people say senior community, why not? Well, think about it. It's very accessible. It'll have transit for the members to live there. It's 3 stories. It's independent, one bedroom and 2 bedroom, and the first floor commercial. You have an entire population of residents who are able to use their incomes to help elevate and sustain any businesses that go below here. And the rest of us as community members who'll be driving by, riding by, to be able to use things in here. It could have a connection to the interurban trail. That'd be so cool. You come out of the interurban trail, maybe grab a coffee or a tea, ride your bike somewhere else. Bicycle parking, open communal spaces. This is a good project for us. $12 million, not 12 million of my dollars. I don't have $12 million. So these developers have taken their time to look and know that we meet the market metrics and that we have a viable community who needs this, that needs affordable housing types that gives them an independence, not a feeling of having to be shoved off somewhere else in the community, but being right in the heart of the community.
Did you see Justine's question?
I did not, because I have another screen. I apologize.
You referenced the interurban trail, which is probably not well known in the area. What is it? And I know what it is, but you might describe what it is.
Well, thank you very much. I can apologize, Justine. My eyeballs were on somewhere else. The interurban trail, it actually, let me see, right here. There we go.
Yep.
The interurban trail runs right along the railroad track right here that goes underneath the overpass right here. You can catch it if you go past what used to be the laundromat.
Right.
You come right down the road on Marsh Road, take that sidewalk, it just dips you right down there and you go all the way down. And this will actually connect to the Lake Lansing pathway because the township is doing a MSU to Lake Lansing pathway trail plan.
Awesome.
Which will be finished pretty soon. So you will be able to, as residents, ride all the way from Lake Lansing all the way to MSU.
A little bit of historical perspective, that railroad track used to be a double railroad track for many, many years. Grand Trunk decided to retire one of the rails and literally pulled up all the steel that made the second railroad track, and that paved the way, so to speak, for the interurban trail.
Nice to know that. I appreciate that. Now I know I'm riding on what used to be a railroad track. My brother is a something special for CN railroads, and so they run their trains run on this. So I always yell at him when it's going by my house, and it's annoying me because it's his fault.
Okay, I have to share one little bit of Hazlett trivia. There is only one other Hazlett town, city in the entire United States. It is located in Texas, but they spell it Hazlett with one T. And it is literally named after Hazlett, Michigan, because a man who worked on that Grand Trunk Railroad back just before the turn of the century was called down to Texas to help build the railroad down there. And he decided to name it Hazlett.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm going to take it because he wasn't copying. He was honoring.
I actually went down there a couple of years ago and took a lot of pictures. So the cool thing about Hazlett, Texas is it's got an Amazon distribution center. We do not.
Yes. If we look at our future land use map, not a lot of zoning on here, or not a lot of industrial zoning on here. Which again, that's because we as residents said, this is what we're looking for and this is where we want it. All right. So we have this will be called the Pine Village. It's the Pine Village development. I don't know if anyone was around for this.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
May I ask you about the development you were just talking about?
Yes.
Said the last time you and I talked offline, you said that there were some delay. We had expected construction to have started by now, and you weren't certain if they were going to start because, if I recall correctly, the cost of lumber and construction supplies escalated during the pandemic. So have you received some updated information?
We have received updated information. So they are sticking to their original schedule plans. They believe development will happen still again this year. They have, as you see, a brownfield, an improved brownfield. So that includes some timelines for them that they need to make the metrics for that. And since it's tied to their funding, their public funding or financing, they have every plan to get started and to have this project happen. COVID has had an exacerbated negative impact on development. It is very high. I mean, even doing, home improvement projects, people will tell me that they're doing things and that, the cost of lumber is just ridiculous. And it is, but this project is still moving forward. So we are happy to hear that. They have a small amendment with parking. They want to reduce some parking, which I think personally is great because it adds to more of our approach about a walkable community. When you continue to build car focused, then that's what you make space for, is the car instead of the person. So I think it could be something that's acceptable, and they should still have the project go off this year.
I think one of the exciting aspects of this project, number one, is that it includes retail space. So while we're losing some vacant retail space, we're gaining some potential upscale retail space. And if I recall correctly, there is an option for this development to expand even further beyond just the portion of the old shopping center they currently own.
Anything is up for grabs. This entire site is listed on MED's website for redevelopment. So we are encouraging of feasible projects and those that are prepared to come forward for redevelopment. Absolutely.
So there's still a potential for other developments going in on the vacant spot.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, we're not done. This is, in my opinion, this is just the first puzzle piece to the full redevelopment. This is just the beginning.
Oh, that was something else.
I wasn't here, but I have been in Michigan with some pretty interesting storms. So I've been in Michigan all my life. So I definitely surpassed some storms, but I just thought this is kind of funny and we've come so far.
Actually, I think that awning blew down twice, once in the winter and then once during a thunderstorm.
Oh, geez. So let's just say the Hazlett Marathon has been in a good position to get some new materials, right? And I've definitely had a few experiences there using their pumps. I think one time I got one of the broken ones. I think the one that always breaks is the one closest to Marsh Road. And I swear I get gas all over myself the one time. It's crazy. So I'm excited. I was so happy to hear that they have the opportunity for this. It's $1 million investment, 6 months. They will have, it's really unique because they have a demolition and a building permit pulled at the same time. So they're demolishing and building at the same time. It's fantastic. But COVID has made such an interesting impact on business all around. I don't blame them keeping their doors open as long as they can to be able to serve the community. So right now the gas pumps are removed. There will be some takeout food service. This is just awesome to me. Now, people are going to slow down. I always feel like this corner is so active, and I'll see kids walking to or from school. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if they had somewhere to just go buy like a quick snack and, go on home or just hang out somewhere. But also because the building is pulled up so close, it slows down traffic. So people are more conscientious about turning and about being the kind of driver we want at an intersection like this, where you want to be able to walk across. The gas pumps will be located back over here. This was my last version. We had some changes because the county didn't like where we had some trees. So just know that happens. Plans change, plans get altered, but this is the makeup. And if you've been by, this is what we got going on right now. Service is still open in the back. The grade is actually a little bit more than this as well.
Just an update. They had expected footings to be going in this week, and I had my van in there for service on Monday morning, picked it up, and I noticed a fire truck and 2 ambulances, and the lead mechanic and I talk every now and then, and I said, what's going on? And he said, well, somebody unloading one of the pieces of equipment broke his leg.
Yikes.
So those poor folks have had a few setbacks over the last few months.
Yes, yes. As you know, development isn't a real development until all the walls are up and, you know, all the windows are in, really, but
There's always something.
there's always something. And so part of my job is helping the owners and the developers keep track of all the things that they need to do, the approvals that they need to have, because there are many multiple layers and units of government. And especially when the town, you know, we are a township. Townships legislatively can only do what is written, whereas cities can do everything that is not expressly forbidden. So it's a little bit different, and we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of authorized ownership of certain things.
And going back to your overhead view of that development, I was mistaken. That shows the existing Marathon building as being part of the modernization of that site.
Yes.
And they tell me no, that will be demolished. The original Marathon.
I think essentially, yes. I think essentially the whole building will be, because they're doing it in parts, but the whole building will be the original. Yes.
So that sketch shows it's still there. It's going away.
It's going away.
And I bid for sushi.
So that's one thing township doesn't get to determine, is what the business, you know, sells. So let's get into the Hazlett developments and residential developments. This is our last big ones. So our MSA includes Shiawassee County now for about 500,000 people in a population, and that's good for us because that's attractive for economic development.
Woohoo!
But for every 1,000 homes, 2,900 jobs are created, $100 million in taxes. In Hazlett Public Schools, so as a planned, approved neighborhood subdivision, not a new home here or there, but a planned, approved neighborhood subdivision in Hazlett Public Schools, the last approved was Sierra Ridge in 2001. It's 2021.
Man.
That means it's been 20 years since Hazlett Public Schools has seen the development of a new neighborhood. $35 million in investment. The Sierra Ridge neighborhood, actually, it's East Lansing addresses, but they support Hazlett Public Schools, and they technically are not finished with that 90 residential homes. They're beautiful homes. It's a fantastic neighborhood, but it's not finished. And I'm bringing all these statistics to you because we talk about residential, and sometimes people will say, you know, well, Amber, when are you going to have a limit on growth? And I can't. That wouldn't be my job. My job is to help us sustainably grow. I think limiting our growth means we would have to be exclusive in some way that would limit all of us and would be negative for all of us. And what's wrong with new neighbors? What's wrong with making new friends? What's wrong with helping our school's tax base? What's wrong with helping our own tax base? What's wrong with helping our local businesses? This is the turnover. On my street, we have about 20 plus houses. There's only 4 homes that are supporting Hazlett Public School students in it.
Yeah. And
only 2 of them are now going to be remaining elementary students. The other 2 homes will be moving into middle school or high school. So we don't have even that turnover for the next group of kids to be coming into Hazlett Public Schools yet. We need new neighborhoods. We need additional residents for us to have a larger retail commercial at the 4 corners of Hazlett and Marsh. So this is the first planned neighborhood development in Hazlett Public School System since 2000. It's Copper Creek by Mayberry Homes. The first phase will be 50 units. And then the other remaining over the next 2 years. So it's a faster timeline and a faster injection of resources and investment in our community. It'll help grow our schools. There was a few comments on Facebook about flooding in the area. There is some additional water and wetlands over off of Hazlett Road that we have checked out, and the resident was able to make contact with Township Engineering Office, and I believe someone from the drainage office went out. I want to encourage all residents who, are having problems. They live next door to a development, they might be doing the work outside of construction hours. That's the part of the neighborhood portion of my job, is to hear what's happening in your neighborhoods and help to enhance them and help to make it better. If you feel like a development is having a negative impact on your home, please let us know and let us know why. And we may not be able to do anything about it, but if you don't say anything, we won't know. So I appreciate that that resident did make contact with the township. From what we can tell, there's nothing exacerbated from the development, and there's no damage to the property. There's just an additional amount of water in the wetland. I want to remind Meridian Township residents, 30% of our entire township is wetland. 30% automatically we can't develop. And we've elected to not develop the eastern third with an urban boundary. So that does limit and concentrate our development in a particular area.
There was a question from someone about the price point of the houses for Copper Creek. Do you have that information?
Copper Creek's ranging in the lower 300s to 400. The Strawberry Farms neighborhood across the street is 250 to 300. So they're up maybe like another 100,000, maybe starting to, or maybe anywhere between 100 to 150 more than a neighboring development.
And they're moving pretty quickly. 5 homes have already been put up.
Actually, 5 homes have already been put up and 8 lots are already promised and sold. So
Great.
We're in good shape. We're in good shape and we're going really well over there. I wish I could move this down. Sorry, this says local roads, but this is you should have received, if you do communication email with the township, and please sign up if you don't, because that's a great way to receive communications from us about different things we're doing, including development projects. But the local roads to be milled and paved this year have been sent out. And a few of them will look very familiar, but these are the ones in our neck of the woods in Hazlett to be concentrating on. So if you live in the White Ash, Buckingham, or drive on Cliffdale, which I do, Buckingham area, we got some milling and repaving going on, which is great. You're gonna get a better road. Yay. So investing in Hazlett. Hazlett's ranked top 10, 1,700 communities, right? 1,700 communities in Michigan, and Hazlett's in the top 10. Of course it is. Of course it is. We're fantastic people. It's fantastic people that make up our neighborhoods, that support our schools, that support our businesses. Those are the things that create the community, and that is what we have. Our township is listening, has heard you, has hired me, has hired previous directors to make sure that Hazlett Village Square gets redeveloped in the way that we would like. What we need from you is participation. We definitely need to hear what you're looking for, the types of projects you would like to go to. I mean, we all could say, yes, I would like a store, another L&L right in the Hazlett Village Square. Okay, but we have Kroger, Target, Walmart, Aldi, Meijer on bookends. I've been Amazoning more than anything in my life. There's a package on my doorstep every week. Am I willing to change my patterns, my retail and commerce patterns to support that business if it goes in there? So maybe it's not a grocery store, but maybe it's something, an activity, entertainment, something that anchors us to there, that brings us there. And that's what we're looking for. So that's what we need from you. And I've talked more than I really like to in one time, and I'm going to be quiet now and let for Q&A, which I apparently missed. I am so sorry. For any other questions, are there dedicated parking places for residents in the new community, and how many? There are dedicated parking spots for the residents. And I know that it's 1 parking space per resident right now, per unit right now. So at least 133. Their request was to make it smaller. You got the interurban trail. Let's make sure I did any. Where's the Horrocks? Yes. So Horrocks, the owners of the Hazlett Village Square and Horrocks could not come to any sort of term. And I don't know how serious the conversation was even about them coming to the community. So I just want to rest assured everyone, nowhere in Meridian Township history did they turn away the Lansing region's favorite market. Absolutely not. And we are looking at how can we make sure that the development process is goes well, includes you, and is something that's feasible. Yes, Justine. Okay, the VR. Justine says she'd like to have some VR and a bagel cafe. I'm on you about the bagel. And girl, I went to Denver. We stayed in this really cool place called the Dairy Block. And I've been trying to bring that either just the idea to our developers here that already have, that are here locally and want to do something. So I've got the idea in my head. And my son took us to this VR arcade like every day while we were in Denver. And it was pretty cool. And so I'm right there with you. Entertainment, definitely entertainment. Another question is, has there been any interest in developing the remainder of the property at Hazlett Village Square? From Carolyn. Yes, Carolyn, there has been interest to develop the rest of Hazlett Village Square. We continue to get proposals. Again, we don't want to bring anything forward to the community that we don't think is feasible or doesn't have a lot of backing to it. We had a couple of conversations with a potential developer. However, that developer didn't have the financing together to get a purchase agreement from the property owners. So really anything, not anything, but really as long as, you know, a developer has a feasible idea and approaches the township, we're willing to talk and willing to tell them all of the advantages of developing at that site and the economic tools to do so. So right now there's nothing very serious being listed. But we continue to talk about it, and Michigan Economic Development Corporation continues to work to market that up for us. Thank you, Marcia, for your great comments. Why does Shoptown stay filled and Hazlett Village Square doesn't? Great question. They're smaller suites. It's small, it's probably the price point. Both locations are managed by the same company. So I think it's the price point, who you want in what locations, what their affordability is. Mr. R's moved over to Shoptown, but again, they were in Hazlett Village Square and they moved from that location because eventually it won't exist anymore and it'll be a whole new building. So part of the reason that some of those businesses moved into Shoptown was to be able to stay in Hazlett, which I appreciate. And I do have to give a shout out to Martin and Cypress Partners for helping the businesses find another location. Even though Hungry Howie's had to move out of Hazlett, they're still in Meridian Township, and we were able to keep our businesses. And like I said, I'm big on business retention and expansion because they're already here and it's easier for them and they already serve us. So look forward to these projects. We love you, Hazlett. We're hearing you. I'm all about the bagel shop. I'm all about some quick, like, not like somewhere I really totally need to sit down for a long time because I'm too antsy for that, but somewhere where I can get a lot more caffeine. And for some reason, the Big B in Hazlett is making me so irritated with how much patience. I think the Big B in Hazlett is about teaching us patience. That's what I think. They're teaching us patience.
Just a quick historical perspective on Shoptown. That was Hazlett's first big retail development of the new age, and the original strip was built in 1965 and then doubled in size. The east wing was added a few years after that. The spot currently occupied by Rite Aid was Hazlett's first supermarket called Goff, and that was owned by a local family. He managed the store and she was the home ec teacher at Hazlett High School. And when the new development was built, Goff moved over there and eventually became L&L.
Oh, okay.
The Goff family bought out the L&L chain,
Brought it out. Okay.
and the only original Goff store left is currently occupied by Tom's in Okemos.
Yep.
And and the other question about why does Shoptown continue to hold? Because they have an anchor, I think. They've got the Rite Aid, which is truly an anchor store, and Hazlett Hardware, which is an old-fashioned little town hardware store that's been there forever. They have regular clientele. You can walk in there and get a widget, and they know exactly what you need.
I know exactly what you need.
Exactly, plus a little cafe, and my barber shop is over there
Yeah.
too. So
They got Blondies, so that corner gets enough regular traffic and enough foot traffic to keep it sustained. It's not overbuilt. It's not too sprawling.
exactly.
Exactly. So I think what we can take away from this is participate, please. Please share the information you learned. Please speak up. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, because that gets us somewhere. And be excited because we definitely have, could there be a more direct walkway to the Hazlett Library for the new senior housing? I think that's a great idea, Deb. They have a proposed shuttle that will be able to take the residents to do their major shopping. They really are trying to encourage the residents to be independent, but to be able to access the community as pedestrians. They'll have a bike locker, I believe. So I think there's some expansion of the idea of mobility. Don't quote me on this, but maybe like some electric bikes or those kinds of, or bike stations where people can do a borrowing and a bike share, and we can get the residents around. But I hear you, because we definitely had some, there was a situation earlier this year with a fatality on Marsh and Hazlett. And yes, it's a very busy intersection, and we don't want to make it walkable if we feel like we're going to get ran over. Yes. So I appreciate everyone's time tonight.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
I'm trying to check the questions. Go ahead.
I have, while you're looking at the questions, I have an agenda item to add to the mix here that
Okay.
I'm not sure you're aware of. Folks may have seen a for sale sign pop up in front of the yoga building, the old lumber yard, and the house next to that. There are 4 parcels there being sold as a single unit under the zone commercial. And do you have share screen available? I can show you an aerial of the properties.
1 minute. Let me
That might be of interest.
give you some power here.
And I did a little sleuthing and found the real estate agency that's selling the 4 parcels, and they're pitching it as a possible condominium development.
You can share.
I can share.
You can share.
All right, hold on here. There.
It hasn't come before the planning commission as of yet.
There are the 4 parcels
There are the 4
outlined
parcels.
in red. The long white building to the left is the old lumber mill.
Right.
The yoga building is the white roof next to it. And then the house was at one time an Asian specialty store. It's an unusual property because it's on the edge of a hill.
Right.
And the asking price, according to the real estate website, is $669,000 for 4 parcels.
Well, it's on Prime Hazlett Road.
Yep.
Well,
So-
this will be interesting. I will keep my ears perked up for it, because as it's going right now, they haven't requested anything as far as the township is concerned. I'll put it that way.
Well, the for sale signs just went up, so this is fresh off the.
Fresh off. Well, thanks. I can do my investigation. More to come.
I'll send you this image and a link to the website that has details of the properties.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Ain't the internet great?
It is. Well, I appreciate everyone again on this tonight. it's my duty to make sure that we all keep this conversation. Once we are out of COVID, we can have an in-person, and I'll do these again. And I plan on having a Hazlett recap in just about 6 months. So hopefully portions of skeletons of buildings are up and we have a different view to share. And we can, as a community, revel in and celebrate those changes. If you have any questions, please email me. My email address is on the website, but it's clark@meridian.mi.us. Always available and interested to talk. And thank you, everyone.